problems and then we'll all do much better. And he said the first problem is retention. The second problem is retention. And the third problem is retention. So if we solve that one little issue, then we'll all be a lot better off in our industry and we will keep our members a lot longer. Somebody corrected that saying and said, well, it's not just keeping the members you have, it's also bringing new members in. That is a very big issue in order to stay profitable and stay successful in this sector. So I think there is no better person to talk about retention in our sector than Dr. Paul Bedford, who has done a PhD in this particular topic, who calls his company now the Retention Guru. So how about modesty? But he is the guru, there's no doubt about it. So Paul, the floor is yours. Use the microphone, are you going to? Yeah.
He's looking at me like my presentation's not on the computer. I think it is. What we said it was on there?
Since we all know that sitting is the new smoking, why don't you all stand up? Let's take this opportunity to have a little bit. You stand on your space, you move your legs, and you twist your arms to your shoulders. Because sitting longer than 1 hour is deadly. You do that for a long time. So don't leave the room. But ready? There you go.
I'm ready.
Yes, you will have. Yeah. Maybe. So this is.
Okay. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hi. Did you drive? Did you drive here? In your car? Did you come by car or by plane? I've officially been in Denmark for 31 minutes. So literally from the airport into the taxi, straight here, through those doors, and on. Okay, do we have a clicker? Do we have a clicker? There's the container. There it is. Okay. This will run smoothly once I start getting going. Okay, thank you for attending today. As you are already aware, this presentation will be in English. Part of my background's already been explained, but I want to add a little bit to it. I've been working in fitness for 23 years. I started as a gym instructor, working in a local club to where I live. And then I progressed from being a gym instructor to being a fitness manager. I ran a personal training business with 30 personal trainers working for me. I've done every role within a health club apart from sales manager. I've made sales, but I've never been the sales manager and directed the sales process. And I've worked in both private health clubs and municipal leisure facilities. So I've got a broad experience of working with different types of operators. I also now work internationally. I've always been interested, even when I was a gym instructor, in how you could keep people exercising. I was always curious to understand why is it that so many people turn up in our facilities full of motivation, full of this belief that exercise is going to change their lives, which it will, and that exercise is going to be their new habit, and they're just going to go for it, and everything they want from exercise will happen. And yet, within a very short period of time, that motivation seems to move away and diminish, and not so long after that, for a lot of people, they actually stop, despite the fact they really wanted to do this. So I've been trying to work out why that is, and what I decided to do after a while was I studied psychology, because I use this as a way of thinking. If you want to keep people in your clubs, it's head first. The head leads the body. On a day like today, if someone says, "Shall I go to the club?" that happens in their head as a thought before it happens as an action and a behaviour. So you have to get inside people's heads to get them to want to come to your clubs on the days they don't want to come, and to figure out their own thought processes. Because if you look at traditional psychology, what you'll find is 90% of our behaviours that we do today, we did yesterday, and the day before, and the day before. So actually changing people's behaviours requires effort. And just saying I'm going to join a gym and that will be the end of it, I've got to join a gym, therefore I can expect things to happen. It's not good. So I studied a master's degree in psychology. I did a second one in research science just because I'm stupid. And then as was pointed out, I did my PhD, and now I work all over the world with different types of operators. There's an operator in the UK that I work with called KIX, KX, if you want to look them up on the internet, just KX. If you want to be a member there, your first year's membership, and I'm going to try and do the conversion, will be 100, tell me if I've got this right, 150,000 Danish kroner. It's £10,000 for your first year. Year one. It goes down after that because you pay a £5,000 joining fee and then £5,000 to be a member for the year. So after year one, it's only 5,000 and 10,000 for a year. Fine. And they have 1,500 members. If you've not heard of them, and I say this usually in the UK rather than here, if you've not heard of them, you're probably not their target market. Now, I also work with an operator called the Gym Group. The Gym Group are a budget operator or a low-cost operator. They charge 30, it's Danish kroner, yes? Kroner. So they charge about 30 kroner a month. So if you joined there, if you took the same amount of money, you could be a member at KIX for a year, or the Gym Group for 55 years. But this shows you the spectrum of types of operators, and all of those operators are looking to improve potential within their business. If you have a business like KIX, you have to hold on to your customers, because there aren't lots of customers who are prepared to pay that amount of money in order to have a health club membership. If you have a lower price product, you have to keep hold of lots of members, because it takes lots of members to make the business run effectively and be profitable. So I work all over the world in lots of different countries. Now I'm going to thank Life Fitness. Is anyone here from Life Fitness today? Okay. Life Fitness paid for the research that we've done that I'm going to talk about today. They also paid for the work I did in the other 3 cities. They're a great supporter of my work. They will give me funds to go and do research, and they ask me to do nothing apart from put a thank you slide up at the beginning and the end. So there's their thank you slide. I'm videoing this right on the top of the Bose speaker at the back. I put my little video camera and I zoomed in with the lens. I video every session I do. You will be able to get a copy of this session that you can watch back and talk to your staff or your colleagues or refresh yourself from. So you don't need to take lots of pictures of the slides, because you can have them to sit and watch and all the commentary. Okay. First of all, I'm going to talk about some work I did in the UK a couple of years ago, and then I'm going to talk about the data that I have from Copenhagen. Because the data today I'm going to speak about in more detail is about this city. And that's why each city presentation has been different, because I've talked about Madrid, I've talked about London, I've talked about Paris. But this is a study I did, and give you some idea of the type of work that I do. This study I did that covered 2009 to 2012, so a 4-year period. It had 342,759 members in the study. And in the UK, we have 5 major sectors. Those being independent health club owners, chains, and then in the public sector, the municipal sector, we have 3 different types. One's a charity, one's run by the municipal, and one's run by a private company for the municipal. And what we saw from that data was that 52% of members survive the first 12 months. So only half the members that join get to the end of the first 12 months in the same club. Now, the question that often people say to me is, oh, do we, if they leave, do they join other clubs? Well, they may well do, and there's other research I've done, but in this study I couldn't tell. Because it's very difficult to find out if people have gone from one club to another. There's no number that is attached to that person that you can track from club to club to club. What you have to do is you have to take the data from your club, run date of birth, gender, name, and where they live in a sheet, and compare it to your club if it's a different club, and see if that same name pops up, and then look at the different joining dates. You can do it, but it needs a lot of collaboration. Well, my concern is really here that in the UK we have 7.5 million members in our health clubs, and every year we lose 3.25 million members. That's a lot of people to join and leave clubs in what is considered a really short period of time. Now, we're only getting about 24% through to 24 months, about 14 through to 36 months, and actually it's about 10% through to 48 months. Only 1 in 10 customers are staying with the club they joined at the beginning for an entire 4-year period. Now, a friend of mine who does work for Life Fitness, a guy called Aaron Williams, took my slide, he took the figures, and he actually did them the opposite way round, so he showed a growth curve. And he asked a group of operators like yourself, if this was a business model, and I offered you part of getting involved in this business model, and you saw this growth and it went that way, how many of you would get involved? How many of you would invest? And obviously loads of people put their hands up within the room. He then said, well, this is actually how we're doing at keeping customers. Who would invest in a business where actually the length of time your customers stay with you, half of them have gone within a year? It's a challenge. Now, I can be really critical of our industry, but I won't leave. I'll just stay and be critical. But what I'm interested in, I have 2 main reasons I run my business, Retention Guru. And that is, 1, I want members to stay longer. I want them to stay longer and get a better experience, so they get good results. The second is, I want, if they stay longer, that earns you more money. Because you get more income the longer they stay. So I want them to stay longer so you earn more money, but I also want them to get a great experience and get the results they set out to try and achieve in the first place. Now, I've recently done New Zealand, did a national fitness report for New Zealand, went out to New Zealand and reported on it, and they managed to convert this curve, as it looks like that, into 24 months. So they're down to 10% of their members after 24 months, not after 48. Which was, it was a long way to go to give them bad news. And say, I've got this presentation, but you're not very happy with me. But we went through it, we looked at the factors, and it was quite clear what had changed about their industry in the past 2 years that had dramatically affected the shape of this curve. And I'm going to show you what I think is affecting the shape of this curve in your market here in Copenhagen. Now, I use a method of analysis called survival analysis. This is a medical statistic approach. It measures the difference between one event and another. And the other is usually death. Which is fine for us because we often term the people leaving as terminated. Yeah? Or expired, which is the same. But it measures the distance between 2 things happening. And the 2 things for me are join, quit. I'm not a great believer in measuring attrition. It doesn't help me and my clients actually understand their business too much. I'm going to show you why. Well, I'm going to hopefully show you why. I've not got the thickest of blue pens here. Club A joins 100 members, loses 100 members. Club B joins 100 members, loses 100 members. Which club is performing better? Based on just counting how many people left, you have no idea. But if I say to you that the members in Club B stay 3 months, and the members in Club B stay 36 months, which club's doing better? Yeah, I see our industry getting really hung up on calculating attrition percentages, and I wouldn't even contend, I really wouldn't do it as a percentage. When actually what you want to know is how long people are staying. Because this is where the income is. It's in the months of membership. That's where the behaviour change can appear. It's not in measuring how many people quit. You might keep a note of that, but you want to know how long they stay. That's the key driver for improving retention. So something else you need to be familiar with when the way I describe this. Attrition for me is not the opposite of retention either. Retention is how long they stay. Attrition is the total number that quit per month. They are two different things. They tell you things, but they tell you different things. So here, this definition is really just describing this chart. What percentage of members, which is up here, these are all the members, stay how many months after joining? So this isn't January, February, March, April, May. This is from month 1 to month 2, month 2 to month 3. So we can measure people who start at different points in the year, how many months they stay. Now the data source I had for this presentation was actually quite limited compared to between Paris and London. Mainly because I don't know anyone here, and I had to go through a third party to get some data. And very kindly they did the legwork for me, as I would describe it, and they got in touch with operators, and I believe there's a couple of operators in this room who contributed some of the data, and there are some that aren't here. I can't remember what they said they weren't coming, but they weren't coming. But I've got data on 8 sites, but I've gone deeper into the data in this presentation rather than broader, which is what I did in the other ones. So I've got data from 5 sites that are within health club chains. Chains for me, they're not the same chain, they're from different chains. Chains for me are businesses or health clubs that operate with an identified brand, and that might be multiple sites. So I work with Marriott Hotels Europe, and they've got 174 sites across Europe using the same branding, the same marketing, and the same logos. So for me, they're a chain. An independent, for me, is someone usually is 1, 2, maybe 3 sites. And they tend to trade off the name of the business as a unique business entity. Sometimes it's even got the business owner's name in the business, in the club name. So I know when I'm in Norway, there's a guy that I work with from time to time. He's got Tommy's Gym. It's his gym, it's his business, and his name's above the door. And he's truly an independent operator. He doesn't even agree with himself most of the time, which is quite interesting. From the 5 sites, these sites are averaging more than 4,000 members. So they're quite a lot of members per site. And the independents, they're somewhere between 1,800 and 3,000 members per site. So you might have a better idea of who these are than I do, because I have no idea who they are. What I wasn't able to get for this presentation was any data if there are any PT studios and how long people are staying within PT studios, or whether we have anybody within boutique or niche operations, which tend to be an activity that is something like cycling. So in the States we have soul cycling, or soul cycle, which is a single activity within a facility. Sometimes these might be Pilates studios, they might be Barry's boot camp, but the niche tend to be almost a single room with changing rooms and a reception, and they do single activities, so it might just be spinning or something like that. Well, I didn't have any. I don't know if they exist, but if they do, I don't have the data. I can tell you a little bit about what we see elsewhere. Okay. In the UK, the red line represents what was going on in the UK. I've scaled it slightly differently here than the last one. And based on the data that I had for here, this was the data I had for here. So it feels a little bit like a bit deja vu back in New Zealand. The data that I had wasn't showing good stuff. Overall, it was showing me that within the first month of joining, 18% of people were quitting. So that's almost 2 in 10 people joined and were gone by the end of the first month, didn't make a second payment.
Sorry, this is Copenhagen.
This is Copenhagen. But I don't know why that is. Well, we're going to see that in a minute. It does then tend to level off after that and pretty much follow the same pathway. But after 18 months, and the data I had here for 18 months, you can see it's down around 13%. That's not good. What I can't tell you is if these people who are quitting are going and joining somewhere else or rejoining the same place. So I can't tell at the moment where there's gaps, only because of the way I accepted the data. There's very little difference between men and women. In fact, statistically, there's no difference. And I was asked this question when we were in Paris, is there a difference between men and women? No, there's a difference in what they do generally inside clubs. More women are likely to use the studios and more men are likely to use the fitness areas, but then those areas are not exclusive men or women. What we have seen in previous studies, and I can't say that it's true about here, is that men will do group exercise generally if they have a chance to compete and compare. So they like things like body pump, where they can look at each other's bars and go, my bar's bigger than your bar. Whereas things like Pilates, and I am a fan of Pilates, men don't lay on the floor and compete on their breathing technique. They want to be able to see the difference between me and him. So it's press-ups, it's boot camps, it's HIIT, it's high intensity, where you can count things and I can see if I'm better than someone else. Women are less competitive in that environment, so they're more likely to do a broader range of activities. But in group exercise, men tend to do compete and compare stuff, or what makes me look manly, so punching things, even if that's their punch. But we're not seeing a difference. I've never seen a difference. We've done over 1,000 sites for clients and customers in the past. Big study I'm doing at the moment on 1.6 million members with almost 1,000 clubs in it. We're not seeing any difference. So men and women pretty much stay the same throughout the business. And then by age, I don't know what's going on here, I didn't do this. I didn't do this. This is fascinating.
Cool.
Yeah, but it takes a click every time there's a, and I'm just used to going, boom, it's there.
I'll keep this.
Alright, yeah. Okay, what do you notice about age then? Come on, I want some interaction from the floor.
The older, the longer they stay.
Yeah, always. Every study. Just like men and women, there's no difference. Older members always stay longer. Younger members always quit faster. Always. Students quit faster than any other type of member. So if you have young students, sometimes you'd be better off giving them money and telling them not to join. Because it would cost you less than processing them and spending time and taking them through the club. In fact, in one UK operator, I actually said to them, you'd be better off, we did all the calculations of what it costs to recruit a new customer, the marketing, the processing, the tour around the club, the signing up, the gym induction. They would have been better off giving each student that wanted to join £10 and saying, although we did say to them, don't swear at them, but don't do that because you'll have a queue of students around your building waiting for their £10. But this is fairly, I've seen this so many times, and it it doesn't surprise me anymore, it did originally. In the UK fitness market, you are old if you're over 35, or in this fitness market, not UK, it's true in the UK as well, but here, the behaviour of members changes for those over 35 and those under 35. Over 35 in the UK, I can talk to you more about the UK market and why that would look like that in the UK, more secure in their job, more secure and frequent in their weekly behaviours. So if Monday night is the night they go to Zumba, Monday night's the night they go to Zumba. And it's in their calendar, it's in their diary, and that's what they do. If Thursday morning is the day they do piloxing, that's the day they do piloxing. It's there, it's in the diary, they do it. They're less likely to move, they're less likely to change job, they're more likely to have family commitments. They're less likely to train on high frequency, so don't expect them to visit a lot. But once they join, they keep coming, keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. Do any of you have swimming pools within your facilities? So you've got a swimming pool, you're the only one. Okay. I bet you have swimmers that come in same time of the day, same day of the week, every week to do their swim. You can almost set your watch by them. Oh, yeah, and they come in and they do their workout. And if they want a bit of variety, they do a bit of backstroke. But they do the same thing again and again and again and again. In some ways, swimmers are the ideal member. If you could get enough of them, they actually have higher retention than any other activity we've ever studied. But usually there are too few of them to run a whole business off swimmers. Younger members under 35, less likely. Normally we see this line much closer to that one. So maybe here the 25 to 35-year-olds or 34-year-olds are starting to mature more quickly, or their behaviour patterns are more established earlier on. But this is fairly common, so something to be aware of. If you are within an environment where there are lots of younger members, you will always have to work harder to keep them. You will sell more memberships because they'll buy them, but they turn over much more quickly. If your club or your facility is in an environment where the majority of the population is older, you'll have to work harder in your sales to get them through the door. But once you've got them through the door, they will keep coming, they will keep exercising and using your facility. Not so frequently, but once they've got their plan and their routine, that's where they'll be, at that time doing that activity. I stop it, and I did again this time at 55, because very few members over the age of 65 are in the data set to actually justify another category of age. The vast majority of the members here are down here. You, Christoph? Sorry, I've just recognised someone from the audience. I didn't know one person. And someone from Norway. Oh, God. Okay. By sector. That's the UK one. This is the independents. This is the branded chain. Or chains. Clubs from the chain. Independent health club operators here are doing better. If my memory serves me right, and I might have to check the slides and the video, in Paris it was the other way around. It was like this in the UK, and it was like this in Madrid as well. The independent operators, while not having as many members, do seem to be able to hold on to their members better than the branded chains. And I think I'm going to disclose why that is in a second. Generally, when we look at this and we look to see what these differences are, it's usually that the independent, the owner of the club, is in the club and running the club and has their eyes on the club all the time. So they have their eyes on the staff in a positive way, but they're interacting with the members. They're not disassociated from the business in an office, running it just by the numbers. They're actually in the business, looking at the business. The branded chains tends to be because they're looking at just total numbers. How many total sales did we make this week in each of the sites? How close is that to our forecast? What's the EBITDA at the end of the year? It's much more driven along the financial reasons for running a business, whereas the independent is more likely to have been a passion and a hobby that's evolved into a business. Someone who used to train, has always been into training, opened their own little gym, it's grown, and now it's a business. Now, what I often see is that this doesn't have a sophisticated marketing or sales process. This is often really sophisticated, this is less sophisticated. But in some ways, it doesn't have to be so sophisticated because there's a requirement for less total members. And often, with operators I've worked with in the past, particularly independents, their theory is, well, if we start the year with 100 and we finish the year with 100, we're okay. Even if 2,000 have joined and left in the interim period, as long as we've got this many at the beginning and this many at the end, that's okay. I wouldn't suggest that's okay, because often what you'll end up doing is churning your entire market very, very quickly. You can't afford, when you're an independent operator, or even when you're running large numbers, particularly in low-cost markets, in smaller communities, to just keep churning and churning and churning. Because at some point you will run out of new people to churn. And you will just then be, we've seen this in the UK with data we've done, they'll be going from Club A to Club B to Club C, back to Club A, and you'll get them for a while, but you won't get them for any length of time. And then you won't get any sense of loyalty or commitment to your business or brand. You end up just delivering what they consider to be a commodity, and your relationship with them is based on a transaction, not on a service or relationship with their agreement. Anyone want to ask any questions about that? Or yeah, go on.
It still figures for 4 years because it's counting from 0 to 18.
No, all of the UK one is 4 years. The Copenhagen is 18 months.
Okay.
So they're all the other ones are the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why this is adjusted to 34 here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Can you say something about how you're doing the statistic? Are you just looking at 1 month and see how many members are quitting after 1 month?
What we do is
So
we
you
take.
follow one person, right?
To do this, I take over 2 years' worth of data, so that every person in the study has a chance to be a member for more than 18 months. Now, what you end up doing, you can't do this in something like Excel. You need a statistical package. You have members joining today and then leaving, and you have some joining here and then leaving, and some joining and leaving. And what the statistical package does is it rearranges these into the shortest and the longest. So it's the difference between when they joined and when they stopped paying. And that's really important because I can show you data that makes this look even worse, and I don't have it, when they stopped visiting. And stopped visiting is over this side of stop paying. They usually, if it's in the early months, usually if we see it within the first 3, okay, wrong one, okay. That one, yeah. First 3 months, if they stop visiting, they stop paying really soon. If in 3 to 9, almost up to 12 months, they stop visiting, but they got through the first 3 to 6 months, they're much more likely to keep paying even if they don't visit. Because in their heads, they believe at some point in the future, they're going to be back. At some point, life will ease up and I'll get back down the gym and I'll carry on with what I plan to do. Round about the 12-month period, what we start to see is people stop visiting and stop paying. As their contract, if it's a contract, their contract runs out. But we're measuring each person between the day they joined and the day they quit paying. So sometimes what that creates is what we call cliffs. So this would go along like this and then it would drop because all the people on a 12-month contract would finish their 12-month contract and wouldn't go through to a second contract or a second period. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Well, you lumped the brand chains together. If I remember, there was 5, right?
No, 5 sites.
5 sites.
Yeah.
Okay, so those 5 sites are the blue line.
Yeah.
What is the worst and the best within those 5?
Let me see if I've got it. If I haven't got it, when I edit the video, I'll do a stop bit where I go, right, this is the bit where we ask the question about the 5. I'll break it out. I can't remember if I broke it out or not.
And then the follow-up question would be, why are those differences there?
I'm coming to that.
You don't.
I'm coming to that. This was the new National Retention Report we did for New Zealand in 2006. So this is quite an old slide. It's got a slightly different format to it. You can see that we did it over 34 months. And the percentages are up. It's still the same type of thing. But the blue line is 1 month contracts. The red line is anything that's longer than 3 months. The yellow line is a longer period, so somewhere between 6 and up to 12 months. The blue line here, or whatever colour that is, I'm a bloke, I'm a man, so this is still blue, whatever colour it is. That's the 12-month, and that was their 24-month contracts. Who's surprised by the look of that shape? Anyone? Who's been led to believe that if you don't have a contract and you keep the price low, people will keep paying indefinitely? No.
Yeah. The prices.
Yeah.
And if they're coming to I'm only paying €10 a month or €50 a month.
Yeah.
And next month I'll
Yeah.
start doing it. But if you pay €60 a month,
Yeah.
you can think twice.
Yeah. And we've certainly seen that, but what we see probably more frequently is that let's just do it on the contract rather than the price at this time. If you only sign them up to a month, they don't stay very long. So the idea of easy in, easy out, they take advantage of. And they literally easy in and easy out. Yes, sir?
How does your statistic count when you have a client who are there for 6 months?
Yeah.
And he drops out for 2 months because in Denmark we don't have that much finding here.
No, okay. This doesn't, but I have done data where we've tracked, because I had to get this data through someone else, but if let's say you were running a club, and I can see from your opinion you're probably not running a club, you're selling equipment, but if you were running a club, I would look at your data and I would, the things you need to do, so I'm going to go back and then come and answer your question. When you record your member data, you only ever, if you're doing it well, if your member is called Paul, and that's me, and you give me an ID number, a membership number, that's always my membership number, and you never reuse that number. You never delete me from your records, and you never reuse the number. So that if I join and then leave, I will have a join date, a leave date, and I can measure that period. If I come back at a future date and rejoin, you can give me a new join date and measure that. So we can look to see what proportion of members are joining and leaving, and there's a difference between what the total yield is you get from them, the amount of money you get from them, compared to the months of membership between the very first and the very last visit. But it's not easy to do, and most operators don't do this. So it's hard to track.
But how did you do it in your statistics?
No, I didn't do it on this one. This was all people who had one join and one finish day.
So if you rejoin, then you are like, we call it like a new member.
Yes. Yeah.
Because
Which would actually make that worse.
It's a very important factor because,
Yeah.
in Denmark, I think people come back, for instance, after the summer period.
Yeah.
They don't train during the summer because the membership type allows you to drop out and drop in again.
But what you get is, you've almost gone back to what I saw in the industry when I first started, pay as you go. You pay when people turn up. But it's very difficult to forecast your income because it goes up and down. One thing though I would really suggest to you, and then I'll come to your question. Okay, one thing I would really suggest to you, who here does sells memberships? Just give them one.
It's all online.
Is it all online? If it's online, the data should be better than this. Because online data is much better than club collected data. Okay, if you have sales, if you do sales, no one has put their hand up, so I'm not quite sure how I'm going to upset them. Please can you stop? If you sell month by month by month, please can you stop as part of your sales presentation telling them they can leave before they've joined? We're really flexible here. Do you know what? You can leave after a month if you want to. As soon as you put that idea into someone's head, what goes through their head at the end of the first month? Should I stay or should I go? There are lots of very powerful strategies you can use in language that presents that in the people who stay in exercise for longer periods of time, between 6 and 18 months, really start to see the total effect of their training. But it takes a requirement and commitment. So you have to present it in a slightly different way. You probably have to make it into a product so that your club is different from your club in the way you deal with people when they first join. So the experience is differentiated. If you say to people, oh, if you join today, you can quit in a month, you actually encourage them to quit. And while you're thinking, oh, that makes it sound really flexible, actually that's the consequences of doing it. And we see all over the world, and I use the New Zealand one just as an example. I can't show you the latest one, it looks the same, it's just they haven't published the final report, although we've done all the research. Okay, contract length here. Is that branded? I've mislabeled that. That should say, oh no. Nearly everything I had was month by month by month. So the branded chains were selling month by month. The independents were predominantly selling month by month. Where there were people who were selling 12-month contracts, that's the red one. But if you actually had, and there was none in there, an enforced 12-month contract, which meant people either paid for a year up front, or you insisted they'd make all 12 payments. You know, in terms of the line, you'd have a dead straight line to 12 months and then it would drop away. But this is the effect of selling month by month. It's the reason why your overall retention compared to the UK market is lower. Because the UK market, in the chains, they're much stronger at selling yearly contracts. And you almost want to give up on selling 3 months and 6 months, unless there's a very specific reason for doing those contracts relative to your area. So in Belgium, there's an operator I work with, and they sell a 3-month contract, and they do it deliberately because of the European Union offices being there, and people often come in for 3 months. But it's the only one of their sites where they do that. And in all their other sites, it's either month by month or 12 month. Independence, I did break out the independence, and what you can see is the orange line was where the industry is here overall. And you had some that were doing much worse and some that were doing better. I didn't break out the chains. I'll do the chain slide, it won't take an hour or so, and I'll add it. So if it's me sitting in my kitchen looking at my camera going, here's the chains, that's what it will be. Thoughts or questions on this? Yes, sir.
Tim Herman brought up that the budget club itself, the membership is very cheap.
Yeah.
Is it true? Is there any fact behind the thinking that people stay longer?
No.
They pay so little?
No. In fact, it's the reverse is true. The more they pay, the more likely they are to stay. It's part of the decision process. There's a club that I work with in London called Third Space. It charges £130 a month membership. It retains 86% of its members for the first year, and 76% of them go into the second year. Now, the type of person that's prepared to pay £130 a month for a health club membership is the type of person that knows they're going to use a health club membership. At the lower end, people who pay less are less likely to stay. Combine that with easy in, easy out contracts, and we just churn. Yeah. Other thoughts or questions?
Well, what I find surprising is when you show the relationship between Denmark and the UK.
Yeah.
According to the Eurobarometer, the Danes are among the most physical active people in Europe.
Yeah.
They asked a question, this is a study among 28,000 Europeans done in November of 2013. In Denmark, only 14% answered. They never exercise. To give you an idea, the average in Europe is 45. So the Danes, but maybe that's because they bike to their work. This is like Amsterdam, I come from Holland, so I can relate to the number of bikes here and people being physically that way, going to their work or going to the office. But in terms of the difference between UK, I'm really surprised because yours is Copenhagen.
It's just in Copenhagen, yeah.
You probably go Jutland, you maybe have a different. But it surprised me that I would expect Denmark to be better because of more physical activity.
I think in this data it's a consequence of a month-by-month selling. And as you asked about, what do these people who join and then quit for a bit and then come back, I couldn't track that tightly with the data that I had, and it may be true that that's happening. But even so, I'd still be concerned that there are a lot of people who are coming, just look at here. I'm sorry that's really scaled it, I don't know why. Look, one of the independents, more than 25% of their customers who join don't make it through the first month. So they're coming in going, yeah, but there are lots of strategies to change this. This is what I spend all my time doing, changing the shape of these curves with operators, with different activities. And sometimes it's just language patterns, the way you describe things make a difference. With one operator in the UK, Circa, we added £11.5 million across their 44 sites by changing one line in the way they presented their sales pitch. One line. I got paid for that. I should have been on a percentage. Won't make that mistake again.
What was the line?
Can't tell you, they paid for it.
There's the salesman.
Okay, again, once again, I'd like to thank Live Fitness. I'm going to do this quickly. I do an event. It's the first time I've ever done a major event. It's nowhere near the scale of FIBO. So they have more people working on reception than I have on my entire event. In May, in Birmingham, 120 people. Rob Gregory, who used to be the Director of Retention for Fitness First globally, is speaking. Dr. Melvin Helston, who started most of the industry research on health club member retention, he's speaking. He's currently doing a 10,000 member study. I think you might have seen it on the journals and publications. Me, Jan Nedelkamp, who's with Europe Active and has also worked as the COO for Health City. And Guy Griffiths is an independent consultant. We're doing a day, May the 14th, Birmingham. It's 120 seats. If you can't come, email me and I'll explain how you can watch it live, because we're broadcasting it live. So thank you for your time today. Thank you, FIBO, for inviting us.